to be honest.
Alright. I assume, I mean, this is a dive map here, so I assume it's a dive code where you're probably gonna struggle the most. Let's see here. Turn that off. And we'll see how this pans out. As a general, like, rule of thumb as well, generally, like, the rate at which you should expect to improve, I mean, it varies across all players. But usually, like, I don't often do sessions like this quickly, or as in, you know, not week to week, because it takes a while for. I mean, we went over a lot of stuff from the King's Row session.
uh,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
so it takes a lot of, a while to even get one of those 3 points down, or even start improving at one of those 3 points. So it's just something to keep in mind, or to have an expectation about how fast you should think about improving. Of course, it comes down to, you know, how easy the advice is, or how easy the thing is to improve is at, how much time you spend playing the game, the different roles that you play, the comps that you might be playing into, etc., etc., etc. But yeah, okay, we'll see here. All right. Okay. We'll watch one fight and then I'll kind of explain, like, hopefully there'll be something to talk about here. Okay, so, I mean, that's not exactly what I wanted to sort of talk about here from the get-go, right? But why go down main here when the rest of your team are going top left?
Uh, yeah, that's a good question. Honestly, on this kind of maps, like I don't really know where I should be kind
Right,
of
so
positioning myself. So if I
I'll
go like with my team, like I'm not sure if I'll take like what you said. Like if you go main, like you might take more damage than you deal with something. You know?
right. Okay, so why
Uh,
why why not go top left here? What are like the reasons to not go top left here? And when would it be okay to go down main?
Probably when my whole team is going main.
Right, so
I
that's the
guess.
main thing, right? So your hazard and if your entire team, right? Maybe you're playing Sojin is like over here. She slides up to high grounds, right? Of course, your team's not here, so you've got no LOS to it. Very basic, right? So, and I get
Yeah.
why you might not want to go top left, right? Maybe the Winston's scary. Maybe you don't want to leave your Hanzo alone. Maybe whatever the case may be. Maybe you feel like you just can't walk past here because the Winston's going to be marking you. But I guess the key thing here, I'll sort of explain this in, I guess, like a step by step kind of way or how I see playing against dive. But obviously you not going top left here is going to cause your Sojin to die, and maybe even your hazard here too. And your Hanzo is actually fairly safe, and this is the concept that I give to hit scan players. I mean, it applies to Hanzo here, but you kind of want the enemy Winston or whoever dive, whatever dive character, you kind of want them to dive you. Because if you're thinking of it in that kind of mindset, hell, even applies to your character and Ana here. If you want them to dive you, then implies that you're fine. You can actually live the dive. You're actually safe. Whereas conversely, if you don't want them to dive you, then you're probably not in a good position to live an actual dive. And that's kind of the mindset that I give DPS players a lot of the time when it comes to swinging corners and making sure that you're safe. And again, I assume I don't not assume, but it definitely applies to Ana here, obviously as well. Even more so considering you've got sleep and nade, so you should actually be fine walking top left here. There should be no threat because even if Winston jumps up to you, you just S key out, like you go away from the bubble, and he can't walk past you because you've got sleep darts. So it's like you should still be fine walking top left here, regardless of that. So that's kind of the main two things here so far. The other sort of thing or template that I wanted to sort of give when playing against dive, users will to explain it, is I kind of have this what I like to describe as the SPA sort of template or framework, which stands for scouts, prevent, absorb, and then rotates. Now, we can kind of forget the first point here because it doesn't really apply to your character. You're very immobile. You're not your front line, obviously. You're not going to be doing a lot of scouting, so you can forget the S part. But these three stages are really, really important in order to live an actual dive. The prevent stage is probably the most important one, also the one that gets overlooked the most. You will live a dive if it never gets or never becomes a good dive in the first place. So in other words, you can prevent a good dive from even happening by preventing this person, this person to a lesser extent, right? Maybe flankers like Genji and Tracer too. Obviously, they're running double poke here, so it's less applicable. But if they're running Genji or Tracer or again Winston here, the way you live a dive is to make sure that you poke them out and you prevent them from even diving you in the first place. If this Winston's got no armor, he's not gonna dive you. If this Ashe is DPing, she's not gonna dive you. And whatever the case may be. So that's kind of the first point there. Absorb is fairly obvious. Just nade yourself and sleep the enemy Winston. Fairly self-explanatory. And rotate is walking forward, right? In other words, once this Winston is out, as in, once his bubble's been used, once his jump has been used, once he's low HP, once his dive cycle is over, then you walk forward. And you look to punish the Winston on his downtime, basically. It's kind of the rotate stage is how I describe it. So we can sort of like, I'll talk about this or sort of visually show this throughout the game, hopefully, when you do eventually get dove. But those 3 stages are kind of how I look at dive. And the key thing to sort of understand here across all these 3 stages, and it's something that I alluded to in the King's Rovod, is you're constantly moving in each one of these stages. You're never standing still. Especially in these, especially when you're rotating, you're walking forward. You're physically moving forward and changing your position, and that is also how you look to get aggressive nades in this sort of rotate stage here. Once Winston's out, again, maybe you don't need to use nade for your own healing. Once you walk up forward and you look to like nade their backline, that's when, again, when the Winston's out, that's when you look to sort of walk up and do some aggressive damage. So we'll see how that applies here. Obviously, first fight, there's not really much to talk about. You're just not with your Sojin, or not with the team rather. We'll see how the other future fights pan out. But that's what I wanted to like give that sort of framework there, sort of visually to give like a visual template of like how I view playing more pokier heroes into dive comps. But yeah, okay, and you can see here, you can see it's impossible to help your hazard. So yeah, okay. This bit, I don't know why. Oh yeah, the wall makes a drop off, so that's good. You got a nade here. Why not nade the Ana when she drops off the high grounds? Finish her off.
Yeah, for sure done it, yeah.
Right, because again, your mechanics are good, right? You hit these 2 shots here. You can very easily bank the nade off the wall here and get the free kill.
Yeah.
Right? And even if you don't, you get Suzu out. That's a fine trade. But yeah, very questionable as to why you don't nade that. Okay, poking is fine, I guess. And now you're nading a bubble, right? Now your team's gonna win this fight, most likely. I mean, I say most likely. Your hazards are still low, you can get traded out. Your Sojin's coming back from spawn and went Hanzo. So it's technically a 3v3 if your hazard dies. But still, like, this is not great. The Honor should just be dead here from the get-go. And funnily enough, right, had you been top left, right over here, you just have a much better LOS to be able to shoot at the Honor. Whereas here, of course, your LOS is much more limited. So, again, going main here, unless your team's down main too, like, again, unless your hazard and Sojin are down main, there's no reason to be here. But yeah. Okay, hazard dies there, yeah, there we go. There's a good chance that your team might not be able to win this, we'll see. Okay. So, sleep dares, okay, so this is where we get into like a little bit of like sketchy territory, where you land the sleep dart and you're gonna get this kill, like I said, but you're just gonna get this kill. But in principle, you should never really be having the opportunity to get a sleep dart here. And we'll sort of, I guess we can talk about why here in a moment. So we'll see here. Okay, bubble's been used. So here you can actually technically walk, right? Here you can actually like walk and you're fine for this. So rotating is fine. Where should you actually walk up to though? So walking up is fine. I'm more concerned about where you finish walking to.
Honestly, I wouldn't know. Like, I felt like we had the pressure on them, so I just kind of W keyed towards the Ana and Winston.
Right. Okay.
If
if you rotate from, let's say, point A to point B, what might happen?
Might get caught since I'm like in the
Okay.
open.
Caught by who?
I think there's an Ashe coming out of spawn, right? Or the Winston could jump on me.
Right. So the Winston's the big threat here. Right. Why might he
Yeah.
punish you if you're walking across this? Why is this a punishable place to walk through?
He kind of just jumps on me and bubble. I can't really do anything.
Right. So
I mean, he does bubble, but like
he's, of course he's getting a bubble here, right? But he can sort of punish you for this, and of course Ash is coming back from spawn, right? Maybe Honor peeks you, and you're also down a tank too, which means you haven't got as much space as you'd like, right? Maybe in another universe, if your hands were still in, then I think walking forward here makes a little bit more sense because your hands are just drawing some attention away, which allows you to make it like these more aggressive rotates. But because your Hanzo is dead, you're very tradable here. Is kind of the term I like using. Where if you're this
Yeah.
Winston, the only way you can win this fight or swing it back, or is to look for a trade or to look for a kill here because you're down 2. You're actually still in spawn, right? So you need to look for a trade, look for a kill here. So when I see you do this, right, when I see you walk across this open space, you don't get punished for this at all, really. Right, and it might not even be you, right? To get traded, it might be your Hanzo, right? The Winston might jump you. I don't know why he walks back here, to be honest. He's full HP. It could be your Hanzo that gets traded out here, but it could be you as here as well. And when you waste, I say waste, right? But when you use sleep dart like this, on the enemy honor, right? You're very right. This is it. You're very tradable, which is kind of the point here. And this kind of shows it here, where you're getting counter slept here, obviously, right? You get slept with the enemy honor, but regardless, right? You're getting jumped by a Winston, and it's likely that you're gonna die for this. You might not, right? But again, it's fairly likely. Okay, Winston just gets blown up there. But you're putting yourself in a tradable position for basically no reason.
Yeah.
So where else can you move to, basically? If say you were back over here, where else could you move to from this position?
Probably where the mega is, like in the room, the small room.
Yeah, around about here, right? Where you've got
Yeah,
cover,
that, yeah.
you've got LOS the entire point. If Winston jumps you, it's extremely telegraphed because you can just sleep dart it and you're completely fine. And again, if he does jump you, guess what? Like you literally just like you said, right? You've got a mega to run back
Just
to.
key back, yeah.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So I'll give like 4. I'm not sure if I gave this last time. I might have. But there's like 4 rules of positioning that I sort of look out for. Which is cover, or a corner. Corner. What's the other one? Oh yeah, LOS. Distance. I can't. Fucking my epic pen. Distance and then rotation. Obviously, last pod we focused a lot about aggressive rotations to look for nades. But so far, like we've seen this. I mean, we've seen this rule been violated in the first sort of fight. Didn't have LOS to your hazard or your sojourn. We've seen this rule being violated too because you're pushing so close to the enemy Winston and you're putting yourself in a tradable position, whereas you could have kept more distance. And we've seen this rule been violated as well because you're walking out in open space, whereas you could have just been playing by the cover underneath the high grounds. So we've seen again those 3 rules been sort of violated there, and the rotation there was actually fine. As in, like, you're walking up there, which is good, right? The Winston's has got no bubble. You can actually walk up, but because your hazard is dead, and because this is a sort of a risky tradable position, for the reasons I've kind of explained, playing here would have been a lot better. But yeah, we'll see more of that positional stuff against Dive. Hopefully when we go throughout the rest of second point and third point here. Okay, fine. Sealing up your team here, stay on cart, fine. Honestly, you shouldn't really be cart in high level play. It'll normally be like your Lucio or your one of your DPS, but this is fine. You can kind of see why you're not on cart. You shouldn't be on cart here because your hazard is low. Yeah. Okay. He's up there. Okay. Okay. Minus so far. Nothing crazy. Okay. Yeah, so of course you have cast ice there. I mean, honestly, it's not even fully on you. The only thing I could have really said there is 2 things. The first one's kind of a nitpick, which is like you can jump in front of cart. So you're a little bit more pushed forward if you're playing over here, so you can see a tiny bit more. But you're still pushing cart here anyways. The sort of effect or the area, the radius of the cart itself is quite large, so you don't even need to be physically touching the cart for it to move. You can be playing like literally right here, and it'll just move. It's a small micro thing there. But barring that, the only thing I could have said is just playing to the aggro on your screen a little bit more. So, yeah, literally the top hit, right? That's literally it. And of course, the cast, that's it. If your cast gets 2 tapped, like, it is what it is. Your cast is playing out on open. Like, there's not too much you could have done about that, really. Yeah, you missed 1 shot there, nothing crazy. Hey, there's reasonable. Okay, well, now this is a bit egregious.
Yeah.
Yes, like cast dying,
Yeah.
cast dying, fine, I get it. Your hands are dying though, not great. Which is
I missed many shots.
yeah. If you're struggling hitting shots like this, just quick scope. Just zoom in quickly to get a quick one quick fire in, then you'll be fine. Or just sleep dot the enemy Torbjorn. And that in what I like to sort of describe this is kind of an old saying I used to have, or old saying for flex support players in general. But damage is kind of healing in the sense that you sleeping this Torbjorn prevents your Hanzo from taking damage, which indirectly heals him. So yeah, one of those two options that would have been fine, but yeah, that's a tiny bit egregious there. Okay. Should be fine though, your team are getting trades. As long as you can like live this dive, you should be fine. Fine. Okay. Up your has, up your has. Okay, fine. Okay. I can see like because we talked about this last mod as well, where you zoom in a lot. So you're probably less comfortable with like doing hip fire shots like this, which is probably why you're missing so much. Again, it probably just comes with time to get used to hip firing so much and actually landing the shots, because again, you are trying to get out the habit of, you know, zooming in a little bit too much. But yeah, which might explain why you're missing so many shots in the hip fire. Okay, we'll see this sort of dive cycle here. Okay, back it up a little bit. Alright, we'll talk about this Nade boost too, because a lot of things happen here. Okay. Okay, so why none of the hazard here first?
Oh, he was kind of diving in, so I didn't expect the wall and drop, to be honest.
Is he diving
Kind of
in?
just,
Is your hazard going in right now?
kind of diving the Winston, I guess.
Right, so diving the Winston, yeah. So like diving, I haven't really heard the term diving the Winston before. I've heard like it's mainly because
I know
like the Winston, any tank in the game has just got too much HP to be dove. Doving refers to like specific burst damage. On like again that applies to a squishy target. There's rushing the Winston, there's burning the Winston, there's like you know, targeting the Winston, whatever you want to say. Diving, not really though. And your hazard, generally speaking, does not want to be matching Winston the entire time. He wants to be looking for nano value onto these targets here. So I would have just waited for, I would have just healed the hazard here normally, like nothing crazy. And then if he does slash onto like the enemy Cassidy, or onto the enemy Ana, whoever he wants to go on, then nano boost becomes a lot more reasonable. But is the Winston here killable, really?
Nah, not really.
Not really.
I think the main reason why I nettled him was also because he was like half.
Yeah. That's probably why. Yeah.
So
He's Swiss HP.
and I saw you slashing it, and I thought he was gonna get like bursted down, but he like kind of instantly dropped.
Yeah. Again, I think that's like a Domino's thing of like, hey, if I actually healed this hazard and then he got to higher HP, then I wouldn't need to nano boost him here. So of course nano's a slight bit of a waste here. But that's not the only issue here. Okay. So walking forward there, it actually isn't that bad, right? Your hazard's actually nano boosted. Like I understand. In other words, I understand why you walk forward here, right? The hazard's nano boosted, right? Winston's not really doing much. His bubble's been used, I suppose. I guess there's like two, key things here. Well, the one key thing here, I suppose. Has the Winston been cleared, or is it safe to walk up forward here?
Nah,
No, right?
not really. He's kind of just standing there.
Exactly, right? It's the exact same thing on first point, where you're walking up forward out in open space, right? Even though he's already used bubble, and it's kind of the exact same issue here. You're walking forward out in open space because he's used bubble, even though he's still in a position to trade you out, and he's still in a position to sort of, again, you're very tradable walking out here in open space. It's kind of the, again, term I like to use. So what could you have done here instead, or what should you have done here instead? It's like two things you can maybe do.
Probably the best option is to either go to the right, like hug the corner.
Yeah, that's one of them. Right. What's something else you could do here as well? What's the second thing?
Second thing would be probably to go left and look for Nade or something.
Right. Why might be going left here? Why might this be a smart choice?
Because the Winston will have to probably either pick peeling for his team or like fighting my front line.
Right. So are you very tradable?
Pressure on the back line.
Right. You can pressure that backline a lot, which is a big part of this rotation, right? Again, this is actually both an aggressive and defensive rotation, right? And it's aggressive for, again, as you just mentioned, you can get nades into backlines, right? It's also defensive too, right? Why are you safer rotating through here?
More difficult for the Winston to jump me.
Exactly,
like,
right? Why is it more difficult for him to jump
like,
you?
If he jumps like back, like he has to walk in, like in a
exactly,
way, if that makes sense.
It's awkward for him, right? Because the building prevents him from jumping on top of you, and you've also got more distance as well because you're just playing. You know, you're further away from him too. So you might not even know that you're in this building here to begin with. So it's like these kind of like positions that again in top-down view we can sort of like talk about and like highlight and sort of understand as like, you know, these are very good positions or rotates that you can do here. But in an actual game it's hard to do. But it's these kind of things that will separate good honor players from great honor players. Like looking for these like, rotations here.
Yeah.
So we'll see what ends up happening if I zoom out here. I
I
assume
think I
this,
die. I think I die here.
you probably will die here, right?
Yeah.
But you can kind of see like a small, tiny choice there means that you can get a 2-man nade here, and you're not tradable against the Winston. You're very safe against the Winston. And hell, even if he does jump you here, you sleep dot him, you're completely fine, to be honest. You should be okay. You've got like a mega here anyways. And more pack here as well in this sort of room here. You've got 2 packs to use. And again, he's really, really far. He's not really, really, really far away, but he's far enough away to where if he jumps you, it's very dangerous for him. This is also another important idea too that I was just talking about with one of with actually the Winston player, with the Winston player yesterday, which was like if he jumps you here, is the Winston putting himself in danger if he jumps you?
Yeah.
Yes.
There's no bubble.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right? And that's kind of what you want almost in a way. Where again, like I guess sort of what I referred to at the beginning, you kind of want him honestly to jump you if you're here, because if he does, you just sleep dot him, and he's not again. He himself becomes the tradable one. Because of again, it's the sleep dot's very also the jump's very very scary. But of course, if you just walk forward into him, he can just drop engage you. You do some jump micro. You can jump and avoid your sleep dot. You can do all kinds of things and to avoid your sleep dot here, and it becomes very scary. So we'll see how this pans out from how you move here. Okay, you do move away, but you just don't see the enemy Winston here, which honestly is a bit of micro because you're completely unaware of the Winston here, and I think that's kind of speaks volumes as to what you're thinking about when you're walking up here. Because when you're walking up here, when you're W keying, you're not thinking. You're probably I'm guessing. You're not thinking about how tradable you are. You're not thinking about how dangerous it is to walk forward here. You're not thinking about, is it safe for me to walk up here? Well, you're not really asking yourself those kind of questions. And because of that, you're not looking at the Winston. Again, this is why having a template or having a framework is so important. Because had you been asking yourself those questions, naturally, your crosshair, you're going to be looking at this Winston, you know? You're going to be shooting down his bubble. You're going to be trying to look for a sleep dart. You're going to be able to, like, you know, avoid his dive here, essentially, right? But because you're not thinking about that in the first place, you're sort of just, you know, autopiloting and walking down main here. He just jumps above you, right? And you've got no idea where he's at, you know? Because you're not preventing him from doing this. You're not looking at him from the get-go, which is really unfortunate. So just by one jump engage, you're down to 70 HP. And honestly, you should still live this anyways, because you've got both cooldowns. But we'll see. Nade. Okay, sleep. Okay. But thankfully, you do actually live that because you got both the cooldowns there, right? And we saw how almost you could have died there. You went from full HP to 70, which is not great. Okay, we'll see here. Okay. You saw my dive anyways. Yeah. Kind of just get collapsed on because your teammates die. Okay. I normally say like best case scenario for you there was literally that fight. That was best case scenario where the majority of the team live that nano dive, and your team will just lose space. That's like the best case scenario for you, and that's exactly what happens. So yeah. Okay, we'll see here. Next fight. Okay. Your gas is very pushing up here for no reason. Almost dies there. Okay, but we're fine. Nice. Okay, you can walk up here. Nice. Yeah, awful dive cycle by that Winston. Okay, you got beat. You can definitely walk up here.
I think.
There we go.
I'll die here. Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, you get traded out here very sadly. Now Nade is fine. I mean, again, the nade misses, right, which is kind of the unfortunate thing. And again, it's like it's the same idea as the last two fights in terms of against the Winston. It's how tradable you're putting yourself in, or how safe you are right now.
Yeah.
That's literally just it, you know. And had you like been thinking about that, then you either rotate to high ground and start playing up here for the next fight, or you just play here, very very simply. And this is the obvious place to move here, obviously. So yeah, a bit unfortunate, especially with the beat as well. You can like live through the tour bolt. But yeah. Okay. Unfortunate. Shouldn't make a difference though, hopefully. Yeah, hopefully you just get full spawn, yeah, there you go. Nice. Okay, you cast dice that side.
Yeah. Yeah, I get a lot of the concepts you say, like in the part, like in this one in King's Row, but like actually putting it into like
Yeah.
gameplay is what like kind of awkward for
It's
me in a way.
the big thing I tell players, especially if they're like autopiloting, because like I mentioned, right, it is sort of like it's easier to watch us through and go top down, right, put icons on,
Yeah, yeah,
and like sort of show like, oh yeah, I could have done this, like had I done this fight could have gone way differently, and that's still valid. But obviously, in the actual moment itself, you've got less information, and you haven't got the luxury of just pausing time and having time
yeah,
to think. So the big thing I tell players is ask yourself questions. And the big question that, or the big questions that you need to be asking yourself, of course, across the 3 fights that we've seen so far, is how tradable are you? Is it safe to walk forward? And in all 3 of those cases, the immediate answer should be no, right? Because this
yeah,
Kiriko wasn't cleared last fight. This Winston wasn't cleared last fight. The Winston on first point, he wasn't cleared from the high grounds. And also,
yeah,
again, those 4 rules should like immediately hark back to you essentially. Where again it should tell
yeah,
you that walking forward here makes no sense because it's open space and you're very close to the Winston. And again, same thing with first point there too. So hopefully, like again, those are the questions that you need to be asking yourself in the middle of a fight. And the way I guess you can sort of the visual cue or the cue to start asking yourself those questions are where's the Winston? You know, where's the Winston playing? Where are the flankers playing? You know, the Kiriko is basically a flanker. The Kiriko functions as a flanker in this comp, by the way. But just so you know, but yeah, where are the flankers essentially on the enemy comp? You know, where's the front line? You know, can I walk up here safely because the enemy Winston or the enemy Diva or the enemy Kiriko they're all stacking down main, so I'm actually allowed to walk up here safely. And the more again you're paying attention to the flankers and the front line of the enemy team's comp, the more likely you are to sort of answer that question more correctly or more soundly. So yeah, those are like the key things I sort of tell players. Pay attention to visual cues in your games, i.e. the biggest visual cue here has been frontline or flankers, and then ask yourself a question based off of that visual cue, and then you'll be able to change your habits over time. But yeah, okay, we'll see here. All right, okay. He has some high ground right now, but again drops down to get healing. Okay, shots are fine. Okay. Okay. Nothing's crazy has happened. So honestly, there's nothing I can say so far. There's just been, there's no flanks you can take. There's no there's nothing you can really do here too much. So yeah, wait for you have to engage and then pop a nade is all I can say really. Okay, Katsuna's out. Okay. One small thing I'll say here is, if you're safe, so Katsuna comes out, right? Are you safe here?
yeah.
Yeah. Why are you safe here?
There's like nobody on my screen other than Diva,
Right.
and like she's too far away to die from.
Exactly. She's way too
Yeah,
far away, and you've got cover here to use. You've got this like nice corner here as well. So because you're safe, you're more allowed, or you're more likely, it's more acceptable to zoom in here and to make sure that your Cass can live this. And you're not missing shots here. So this would be a fine time to scope in because you're not gonna get punished for it. Because again, for those reasons as you kind of outlined. But yeah.
yeah,
Okay. We'll see here. Of course, the opposite is true as well, right? Where if you're not safe and you're having to move constantly, then scoping in is a bad idea. The opposite is true as well. So yeah, something to keep in mind. All right. Oh, the nade there. Oh. Okay,
yeah.
so
Not really near.
why is the nade not needed? What tells you in this fight that the nade's not needed?
Well, my hazard is like about half, and he still has a wall and right click, and
Yeah. More so, like, what about the enemy team's aggression?
it's not really committing. They're like kind of just poking
Right,
in a way.
right.
Yeah.
What tells you that they're not committing?
Uh, a diva probably like not flying in, I guess.
Exactly, right? So, I mean, high level diva players will just do this. They'll, I call it booster baiting. Well, they'll use one half of their boosters to sort of go onto you, and the second half to sort of booster out like this. But essentially, that you're correct in that sort of reasoning, right? Where their body language is such that they're just soft engaging this. They're sort of slowly pushing up their advantage, and they're not hard engaging your hazard, right? If this person
Yeah.
was flying onto your hazard, or maybe your Lucio was low, right? Then nading this becomes a lot more reasonable because you can nade both the diva and your hazard, and then it becomes again you get a 2-for-1 there essentially. But this nade here, like your hazard can live this aggro, right? He's got enough distance, he's got enough HP, he's got cover to use, and again as you mentioned, they're not committing, right? They're still relatively far away, so that should all tell you visually off of what's going on top of your screen that doing this sort of engage is completely reasonable. Also, doing this sort of nade is completely it's not needed here essentially. And it's reasonable to sort of keep Nade here. But yeah. Now with Nano Boost, right? Your hazard just leaves you. Just leave you? Yeah, he just leaves you. Okay, that's sad. But had he gone main here essentially, right? Then that could have been a nice Nano Boost engage there. But now you Nano Boost the hazard, he punishes the enemy Cassidy. Then you nade the cast and the diva when your hazard is in. That could have been quite nice. But yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, he goes alone here, so we'll see what he does. Okay. Speeding up forward here, fine. Okay. Okay. Right, and that's a lot, if you compare that sort of nade usage there, that's a lot better, right? Because again, you don't need to nade the hazard here. Even though he's pretty much the exact same HP as he was, like literally right over here.
Yeah.
Right, because he's got cover, and you can see no one's committing onto him, this is good, right? Keeping onto nade. Okay. Let's talk about this nano booster. So, what's good? Also, I'll ask you this: what is like the intention for this nano boost, and what's good and what's bad about it?
You're powered up. Get in there.
Well, I was kind of waiting for his lead to to uh to
Yeah,
connect
the has
before I
leak,
nano
right?
him.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
What
Also
else is
cause
good
I
about this
saw
nano?
the diva getting nano, so it was kind of a self nano, I guess.
Right, because you're scared about the Nano Diva sort of going onto you and bursting you down.
Yeah.
So that's probably the main, I guess, decent thing about this Nano Boost. So it's not terrible. I assume it's gonna get value. There's also the idea there that like you're in a 5v4, which means that if both are on as Nano Boost, you're sort of equalizing up the advantage here, so to say. If you're this Honor, if you're Dark Ninja here, you want to get a trade. You want to win this fight as quickly as you can, because over time, of course you're just gonna lose a 4v5. So you kind of need to make it again. You kind of need to make a trade here. If you're this Honor or you're this enemy team here. So nano boosting here to equalize up the trade makes sense, right? You don't want to get traded here. So this nano boost, I think it's fairly good here. My only sort of complaint is the diva hasn't gone onto you yet. And I think if the diva goes onto you, or like again, you can avoid the diva here essentially, where you can swing this corner wide like this, right? And I'll talk about why swinging the corner wide here is important. But you can kind of swing the corner here wide, and not have to use nano boost, right? And if this diva, exactly, right? Then you can use nano boost, or hell, you can use your abilities first, like sleep dart, and then nano boost afterwards if you need to. So it's
I think
not
I do get punished here because I think I go a bit too aggressive.
right,
And
and
then I get
that's
caught.
and we can talk about that in a moment, right?
Yeah.
This idea here that I tell hit scam players a lot. It's taken from a tier 2 coach called Capitology in NA. And it's about swinging corners wide. As in, if you want to swing around this corner, get off the corner. In other words, right? Play away, and your hands is making the same mistake too. In fact, your entire team's making the same mistake. But get off this corner. Swing wide. Why? What you think? Why is swinging the corner wide better than swinging the corner close? And why is this better?
Well, it gives me more time to react if anything's coming to me.
Exactly, right? Now, this is actually, it's very simple, but don't worry if you can't apply it just yet, because even pro players don't apply this all the time. They forget to swing corners wide, but this is why it's really, really important. And again, it relates partially to the whole tradable thing here, because again, you're not tradable if you're playing further away. And of course, you've got a wide LOS. You would have been more aware of the torp here, right? You can do the torp here, whatever. But yeah, and again, if you look back to your POV here, when you walk, even with Nano Boost, even when you've got Nano Boost here, you're still fairly tradable. And there's still a Nano Diva in front of you. It's still risky. A nade is good. I don't mind the nade. But look how uncomfortable this is, right?
Yeah.
Whereas again,
I
had
think
you
if I
been
was further back, I could probably do the same thing.
exactly, right? And you could have naded it like it's just like you mentioned, right? You could have done the exact same thing. You could have naded the Ana there, completely fine. You could, and you would have been way safer here, against the enemy Diva. So again, it's so far, like, it's been 3 or 4 fights where we've seen you walk up too early, and the reason why is because you're not thinking about how tradable you really are. And in this fight, again, it's a little bit more reasonable because, again, you do stuff Nano Boost to sort of have more sustain and to be more able to sort of walk up here safely. But it's nonetheless, it's still a concept that applies here. Because, again, you're still very tradable, as is, we can see here, you're still very tradable against the enemy Diva here. And even Kiriko here, because, again, she's basically a flanker in this comp. But yeah, we'll see next fights, which is really unfortunate. Right, because if I look at the rest of your team, right, you're the first person that dies, right? Yeah. And if you look at this, right, you're literally in a what? If you live here, you're in a what? 5v3, 5v2, right? Like then you just cap the end bit of this point here, and it's GG. Because you die there, it becomes a lot harder, or it becomes more reasonable for the enemy teams to sort of clutch this.
Right. Yeah.
Right, and who knows? Maybe the rest of your team might die here on next fights. We'll see. Maybe. I mean, yeah, you're 10 billion miles away. Ooh. If anyone dies here, yeah, it's just a dominoes from last fight. If anyone dies here, oh, this is rough. Okay. Okay. Why not drop down here? What's the issue? What's the issue with this angle here? Why is this an issue? Why is playing up here an issue?
I can't really see anything.
Yeah, like you can only see your hands here, really. Maybe that's it, right? Again, drop down here. Your Hanzo was low in a moment. Yeah, I'm actually shocked no one on your team dies. Considering how far back it was from spawn. But yeah. Oh, please drop down, please. Right, and look at how. First off, you're shooting a turret here, as you're shooting at a overloaded turret, which is not very useful, right? But again, look at your Hanzo, right? I've got no idea who's going to be going onto him, right? And again, the second I sort of saw that, and the visual cue again was the Hanzo flanking, right? Look at this, right? He's playing aggressively, right? Help him out, or at least think about helping him out is kind of the important part here, right? He's the most aggressive person on your team right now, and he's very squishy, right? If the Diva flies onto your Hanzo, he's going to die. If the Kiriko flanks and 2-taps the Hanzo, he's going to die. So help up your Hanzo here. Or think about helping him out. Instead, you're very tunneled on shooting a turret here for no reason. Okay, now you're looking at them. Okay, now you drop. Finally. Okay, your Hanzo's still very low. Okay. Finally, we help him out. Okay. Better there towards the end. Better there towards the ends. Okay, and that should be cap, hopefully. Alright. Right, if we back this up here, right? Look at how static this is. What do you say for? Speed it up. From 43, you stay here for. Hold on. 10 seconds. 15. There we go. For just under 20 seconds, you stay on the high grounds. And the main reason for moving was your team being so low that you could have needed to move here in the first place. And the Diva finally flew up to you. So, yeah, really not great there, And what could have happened there could have been a lot different. You could have healed your Hanzo here way earlier, go on a flank Nade with your Hanzo, or heal up your Hanzo, flank over here, and look for a nade, right? Like, so many different things could have happened this fight. But, really unfortunate. Okay, we'll look through defense now. Right. Okay, look at what you play. Right. Okay. Playing up icon here, fairly normal. Nothing crazy. You can look for a nade here, you can just toss it. I don't know why you wouldn't. Yeah, why not just toss a nade here?
Yeah.
Like, why not just like curve it through, right over there? Could have been nice. Easy York charge. And again, it's not gonna come at a big opportunity cost, right? Your team's fine. They're not at danger. Just get the free York charge. Okay. Okay. Fine. Nothing crazy. Okay. I will say I do actually kind of like that move to the left side here to look for like a nade. I don't mind that. Especially when you one up like that. I like that aggression. Okay. Nade's okay. Zones up the back line. Can kind of bounce off and like hit your hazard here. It didn't end up hitting your hazard, but I saw the thinking there. That was fine. Nade there's okay. Alright. Here we go. Feeling's good there. Who cares about the Arista Spear? Okay. Doing blind cover. Fine. Hunter's not in danger. All good. Okay. Fine. Wait, there we go. You know, top's underneath. Your loose is just dumb. So far, I think we've been happy with the micro. Right? I think you've looked at the aggression. You've got good awareness. You're helping out the targets that need help the most. And you're not really tunneled on any specific target. So far, I've been pretty happy so far. Nothing crazy. Okay. Nade there's good. Nice. Really big nade there. Really good nade. I really unfortunately can help your cast there. I think that's honestly more on him than you. I don't think there's much outplay potential you could have had. I mean, yeah, he gets critical HP here. And then maybe hitting that shot there could have been the only thing there, but it's nothing crazy. Okay. Okay. You just end up dying there. I mean, yeah, the entire team died there, so nothing crazy. Yeah, I mean, you lose to just get gets one tap there. Your cast is in a bad position. In fact, your backend should be playing the side guard here, to be honest. So I'm not really on you to lose that point. Only thing I could have maybe said is having a little bit more attention to your backline playing over here. Or the aggression your backline might be taking during the nade. Because you kind of get a little bit tunneled here when you hit the nade, and you don't end up looking at your backline in time. But barring that, there's really not much else I can say. I think you played the micro and the macro there. Positioning was fine. Yeah, I think that's all fine. Okay, let's look at second. Hopefully you go high ground here. You do, nice. Okay. Okay. Fine. Okay. So why take this angle here?
I was trying to look for angle to nade, to be honest. Like, trying
Right.
to think of
So
aggressive
again,
nade
this is gonna link
angles.
back into the. Frankly enough, actually, from the first word, I'll say this: like your nade timings have actually been not bad. Like the first fight there, like your nade timings were basically close to perfect. Honestly, there were times with your hands' aggression. There were times for when they were walking out. You hit some good nades there on first point. So I'm not actually unhappy with how your nade timings there. But unfortunately, there's so many. Okay, there's so many things I want to mention here. We'll start with. What is the opportunity cost? What is the downside? What are you missing out on by flanking through here?
Probably looking at my teammates, see whether I can
Yes.
get a nano off.
Yes. Right.
Yeah. This is
Exactly.
a really tight angle.
Bang on. Right. It's
Yeah.
it's a really tight angle, but B, you just can't see your teammates here. You have no idea whether what's happening. You
going
can't
on.
help them out. You can't nano boost them as you kind of mentioned, right? And again, not to mention, this nade angle is really, really awkward, right? Why not just go high ground here, where you can see your Cassidy, and the nade angle is a lot better, and you can see a lot more, right? So you get it's 2 for 1 there. Second thing, though, is the timing of it. What is the issue with the timing of this nade?
My hazard hasn't really jumped in yet on this one.
Yeah, he's not doing any. There's no aggression, right? They're not
Yeah.
playing aggressively. You're not playing aggressively. You haven't nano boosted anyone. What's the reason for the nade, right? Even if this is a good nade, it's not going to do anything. Even if this hits like 3 people, there's not gonna be any follow up, or there's not gonna be any aggression off the nade. Which is again the biggest thing is. So it's gonna hit someone with the Arista, right? But it's not gonna do much. Sadly.
Yeah.
And your angle is so awkward. Ugh, look at your cast.
Get
He's,
in there.
look at him. You need some help, you know.
Yeah.
But you just can't help him because you physically can't. Which is really sad. So, yeah. If that Iris is smart, by the way, if that Iris is smart, she'll spear you and she'll zone you out from your angle. So it makes this angle even worse. But yeah, the nano boost there is fine. Okay, why is that nano boost there fine? Ugh.
Sorry. Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's a bit slow though. But why is
Uh,
Nana boosting here fine?
cause he's like
You're
taking a
powered
lot
up.
of pressure
Get
to
in
be
there.
honest.
Right, he's
And
taking
like the Orisa
aggro.
could have just used the spinning thing. I have no idea what
The
it's
spit
called.
spin, right? So it's probably a good
Yeah.
time to go, right? You can also see your Lucio is walking up here too. So he's looking to
And
aggress.
Hanzo just
And Hanzo as
ulted.
well,
Yeah.
right? So there's aggression that's going on here. So the Nano Boost here makes sense. Not to mention, map-wise as well, I mean, this is less, comp specific, but you also kind of want to fight here anyways, because you got a faster, broader comp who wants to play like these close and tight close spaces here. You don't want to give them the map essentially, so you kind of need to go here anyways. But yeah, Nano Booster, I'm happy with. But unfortunately, no nade. Right, nade would be amazing. Holy shit, you could just like nade again. Ugh. Angle here from the camera's weird. You can nade here. I mean, again, here's not a great angle, right? But again, the timing would be great here, Like, look how low these guys are. Like, low as fuck. But there's no nade here. And you yourself are playing passive here for no reason.
Yeah.
Which is really sad. Okay. All that to help your cast. And you get traded out here anyways. Yeah, really bad. So that low ground position there costed you in so many different ways, right? It costed you because you get traded. It costed you because your nade was awful from this angle here, and it costed you because you couldn't see your Cassidy. So I don't know why you would go that left side there. And again, I think it's the visual cue. Again, it's something that I give players as well. Again, I'm not sure if I don't think I mentioned this last time, but whenever you've got downtime, you need to be thinking. So downtime, what I mean by that is either in between fights or in pre-fights. Pre-fight. Where, hey, you've lost a point here, nothing's going on. Right? Think about the angles you want to be taking, right? And again, you can think about those 4 rules there, as I kind of mentioned, right? But had you been thinking about your value on honor, about what you want to see, your LOS, about the angles that you want to play, about what your team's playing, about what they can see, and how you can heal them, and how you can enable them, you will just play on high ground here, right? But you need to be thinking about that in the first place. You need to get yourself to ask yourself that question, about how you can help your team the most, in between these fights, But here again, start of second point, you weren't thinking about that at all, and you end up taking this really, really terrible angle here that limits your value. So yeah, I'm not sure if your team are gonna win this. Let's look like they are, but because their spawn is so much closer, your team are probably gonna need to give space here anyways. So you win that fight, but you're so far away that your team's probably gonna need to give space. And it looks like it's looking like they are, yeah. Okay. Here's a lot better, thankfully. Now we're here. Spikes are down. Nade is good. Lovely nade. Okay. Fine shots there. Okay. Yeah, and it's nothing crazy, right? But I'd say it's a little bit of television. Angle here is great. Nade is more than reasonable. Shot is fine. Right? I think after he's popped overload, I'll hit one more shot or fire one more shot and then look around. Right? Look at my hazard. Look at my team. Do they need healing right now? Only thing I'd say there, right? You're a little bit tunnel on getting the kill. But barring that, I've got no complaints. And again, the visual cue to tell you to get out to stop scoping in is the overload. That's the visual cue. Sort of start looking around because you're gonna need 2 shots to fire to kill the Torbjorn here. Of course you missed the first shot here, so you're gonna need more than 2 shots. But yeah, small thing now on tunnel. Okay. Why move back here?
Honestly, I have no idea. I saw the Sonic arrow. I thought Hanzo was pushing me.
Right? Can anyone? I mean, speaking of that, right? Can anyone punish you here on this high ground position?
Probably only Moira and like maybe Hanzo.
And maybe Hanzo, right? But out of everyone, it's probably the Moira. Funnily enough,
Yeah.
Because you can fade onto you, damage job, DPS Moira kind of thing. But you haven't got to leave here, right? Sure, maybe you're zoned out, right? That's fair. You're zoned out because you don't want to get shot by the rivets here. But you can stay here. Yeah, there's no reason to like walk backwards here. What might cause you to walk backwards here? Why might you want to walk backwards? What might be a situation that causes you to walk backwards?
Uh, what if I don't see the Moira, I guess?
right?
Is there a way? Or like, or if my
What about your
hazard's
hazard
backing
here?
off? Yeah. Or if my hazard's backing off, yeah.
Right, if your hazard's
But he's
fucking
kind of
off, right?
walking forward and yeah. But he's
Exactly,
walking forward, I'm walking back. Yeah.
exactly, right? And if I zoom out here, I go here, there's the mouse, right? I think your hazard goes in, and you're walking back out,
Yeah.
which is not great, right? So you could have just been AFK'd here, looking around, just moving your camera. That's literally it. Just moving your camera, looking around, and then when your hazard goes, this is a feed by him, by the way. He's feeding here. But when he goes in again and feeds, now you pick this angle, and now you start looking for value. Now you can actually look to get a kill into the tourbillon, or look to get like an aggressive sleep dot or something like that. And that could have been quite nice. But yeah, again, you're not matching your aggression with your team here.
Yeah.
Of course, your hazard probably dies there regardless because that was a feed. No, I'm not gonna lie, that was a complete feed. You could have gotten a trade there at least. You could have gotten the top there or something like that. But yeah. Okay, we're backing off here. Honestly, I don't mind it. I wouldn't have also minded if you wanted to like die on cart and look for a trade. That also would have been fine. But yeah, as long as you can live here, I'm okay with it. Might be a little bit rough though. Nice nade, nice shots. Okay, your hands is dead. Your hands is dead. Alright, don't die here. Nice. Back to live. Ooh, okay, because falling a little bit. It's fine though. Okay, fine. Okay. Yeah, so, oh god, here we go. So okay, your timing's way off, you know? Because like now you're 1 HP. Again, the nade's not gonna do anything here. Again, it's way too early. And you're 1 HP, you know? So you can just AFK. Just AFK, stay here. Or, what else you can do? Or how can you move here? If you want to play a little... If you want to set up for the next fight here, how else can you maybe move?
Probably rotate down to the
Right.
like, yeah.
And rotate downwards a little bit here. And then where can you move to from here? Or
To
from
the
where your
right,
hazard's playing?
in the same room probably.
Right, flank around here. Right, look for a
Yeah.
nade. Right, maybe look for a nade here. Right, maybe go really wide and look for a flank. That could work as well. Look for some kind of risky play. That honestly you kind of need to do because you're down. Your hands are down right now, and the only way you're gonna win this fight is by looking for a risky nade or to look for a play. But obviously here you get forced out really early. Again, timing is off as you kind of mentioned in the first VOD, and the nade's really early too. You know, again you're jeopardizing your mid fight value to look for value right now. And that's again it's gonna hamper how much you can do in the mid fight. So it's really unfortunate. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's just simple, you know, look at your hazard, right? That's all it takes. Just look at your hazard. And look at what he's doing. And look at the enemy team here too, you know? Look at the aggression is the important visual cue. Okay. We'll see here. Okay, now, Nade would be lovely. Right, now you walk out here and nade the entire enemy team. Like, holy a nade here would go insane, you know?
Yeah.
It would just be insane, right? But unfortunately, that's not possible. Now, obviously, your team's you're still gonna lose this fight here regardless of you doing that. Because you're just down too many numbers here, and you haven't got nano boost. But still, principle applies.
Yeah.
Actually, I mean, with the beat here, with the beat, honestly, that might still be winnable. Okay. Yeah, I mean, probably gonna lose that fight there, but at least you get out Terra Surge, you get out 4 ultimates there, so it's not bad. Guess you can take that. Okay. Okay. Don't. Okay. This. Okay. I appreciate this. Right. What do you need to keep in mind of when you're doing a flank nade like this?
Probably like who can punish me and like whether my team.
Yes. Yes.
Like,
Right.
yeah, especially my team.
Where your team? What's the timing of my angle? And who can punish me on the enemy team? Or am I safe doing this? Now the answer to that last question is yes, technically. Because no one's if you compare this comp to what we saw at the beginning of the game, this comp has no mobility. And again, I mentioned this in King's Row specifically. The fact that you can make these like flank plays a lot more when there's no nade, or when there's no there's no mobility. You can look for these nade flanks a lot more. So this is good, right? But again, it needs to be done in a disciplined, safe manner. So hopefully you don't mistime this, and hopefully you can still help out your team. But yeah, we'll see how this pans out.
I think I might not even do it at all.
And maybe not.
My Lucio kinda dies, yeah.
Oh, yeah, team die here, yeah. Okay. Oh, that's not great. Cool might be coming for you.
Enemy turret destroyed.
Maybe.
Come to my position.
Okay. Hey, don't mistime this. Oh, okay. It's not the worst mistiming in the world. Again, you can see the value. It's just even though you are a little bit early, I think you are a little bit early here to be fair. But even though you're a little bit early, like who can punish you? Like no one, you know.
Yeah.
And just by your flank, you get a 2-man anti-nade. These guys are really killable, and you're gonna draw a lot of attention away, and that's gonna allow your Zara to walk it. So yeah, and you're not tradable here at all because you're so far away. So honestly, the timing is a little bit early, but honestly, this is actually really good in principle. So hopefully you don't scope in here and get domed by the Hanzo. But we'll see. Nice.
I am great.
Right, leave. Yeah, so you don't leave it in time, right? The whole point of distance is that you've got time to react. So get the kill and move. Rotate. You need to move dynamically, right? This is what I meant at the beginning. And in King's Row 2, right? You need to move. You need to constantly keep moving. So you after you get that kill, move. That's your cue. That's your visual cue. This skull, the skull icon you get from the kill, this kill feed icon, that is your cue to move. But I will say I'm actually really glad you did do this because this is really good. From a macro perspective. So yeah. But yeah, you get body shot there by the Hanzo. The Moira sucks you off a little bit. You get a few shots there by the enemy Orisa. Right, but look at the value. Like this is insane value, right? Like holy hell, right? The Orisa turned on you, Hanzo turned onto you, Moira turned onto you, Torbo's turning onto you, like, and you got a kill, you know. And you can still live this by just going and rotating earlier and sleeping the Moira and getting the mini, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, bit unfortunate that you just waste sleep lot there and you don't rotate there earlier. So I guess the question then becomes, why not rotate and why not move when you get the honor kill?
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason to not. I think I kind of
Right.
thought on
Oh
like.
shit, I can't. There you go.
doing-
Can hear that in a moment. But yeah, why not move there when you got the honor kill?
Yeah, I mean, I just simply thought out. That is why I probably didn't rotate. Like, I just thought out on getting damage out, I guess.
Right. And I think a really important idea here for you. I think you're kind of again. This is, honestly, I mentioned this with like flanker characters, but it's really important for you. Is the visual aggro that you're taking? I think I maybe mentioned briefly, right? But when I say visual aggro, what I'm referring to is the eyes, looking at the eyes of the enemy team, right? And looking at what they're looking at. So right now, in this sort of frozen frame, right now, this Hanzo is not looking at you. So honestly, you can probably get this shot off, right? It's probably fine, right? Of course, had you been a bit more attentive to Moira fade, you can probably guess that Moira's fading onto you right now, so that's probably visual aggro there, I suppose. But this one shot probably tells you enough to keep moving, or to move away, right? But the second he starts looking at you, like this, the second this happens, get out of scope and move, right? Like that's the key important idea there. Is who is looking at you, who's looking at you, and making sure you can move in time, right? Obviously, Moira here is also looking at you as well, so even more aggro, right? That's the important idea. So the greed there is really important.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see here.
Recently, I started playing like more Kiriko and Moira, and I find it easier to like do.
It
what
is a
I'm
lot. Yeah,
trying
I
to
will
do.
say it is.
So,
It is easier. Of
yeah.
course, it's easy to do it on Kiriko and Moira.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think still on Honor, it's still if you're good at the game, or like rather if you're able to pull this off really well or really disciplined, it's insane value. And again, even though you die here, like you still got a decent amount of value that fight, right? Your Zarya's pushed up, your Zen and your Cass are pushing up right now. You got a trade there at least. And now look at their positioning. It's awful. It's in one direction, right? It's one angle. So even though you die there, and even though that flank isn't played that well, you still do a lot. And it's better than King's Row as well, I'll say. And you end up winning that fight, nice. And that's in part of the aggro that you draw. Okay, we'll see here. Alright. Speed it up. Okay, I don't know what your hands are doing. Okay. Okay. If that's okay. I'd take that back actually, it's not okay. Why is Nade not okay?
Because they just I'm one down. Wait, actually, no, we're even. But he kind of just nanoed right after I need. So I probably could have saved that for a more defensive one, or like when they're
Yes,
actually
yeah,
trying to
right.
push in with the nano.
Exactly. You just literally told me that you can predict with a fair enough amount of confidence. You can probably predict these guys are probably gonna push your team because your hunter's dead. You're one down. That's a good
Yeah.
prediction. So then nade would be great for that, right? For relieving that pressure. But this nade now is gonna get wasted. Like who cares about this nade? They're too far away. And it's not like your Zarya's like looking for a trade. It's not like your Zarya's on high charge, barreling into the enemy team here, looking to get. That's not happening. This Nade here again. It's just way too early. Okay, Sleep Dart there is just pointless. And now Nade would be amazing, right? Now you can nade and hit both these targets here. I'm sure you got the perk here as well. Yeah, you got the double nade perk as well. Bounce one nade, get another one on cart 2 and zone out these characters. That would have been amazing. But yeah. Nano booster there is fine. But with Nano Boost here, right? So you Nano Boost your Zarya. Where can you move to after you press Q?
My turn.
Probably like through this hallway right now.
Yeah, flank through here and look for a kill, you know? Now, of course it's risky, but you're down 2, right? Your Hanzo's coming back from spawn, your caster just died, you need to look for a trade here if you want to make this fight win. Or if you want to look to win this fight, right? And because your Zarya's Nano Boosted, you should be fairly okay on the front line. So I wouldn't worry about it too much, right? Maybe one more healing shot here, and then that'll flank around. But that's the kind of the key thing here. So I guess we can see how you move. And I assume it's just going to be healing your Zarya.
Yeah. I don't really do much here.
Yes, it's healing your Zarya. Now, okay, this is better. This is nice. Okay, not terrible there. Again, it could have been a bit better. Could have maybe hit the on here too, right? But the thinking there's nice. In terms of your flank. So I appreciate that. Okay. For some reason, your Zarya is pushing an Orisa shield, even though you're running on a Zen and you can't heal Zarya through. Anyways, you're fine. Flank is good again. You've got
That
trans.
happens a lot actually.
I don't know. I don't know why tank players just push through shields for no reason. But yeah. Okay. Sleep there's a little bit. So this is a bit of micro here, right? The main thing is just to sleep dart. That's literally just it. Sleep dart on the Moira, run away, you're fine. Nothing crazy. Yeah. But even though you die here, right? Like again, you're taking off two people's worth of aggro. So had you lived here for a little bit longer, you probably would have been a bit more fine. But unfortunately, again, your flank dies there, even though your Zarya should have been pushing forward there with trans, whatever. I appreciate the flank there at least. Okay, we'll see this fight. Yeah, probably gonna get capped. Yeah, bit unfortunate. Alright, so we'll look at the code. Okay, a little bit of defense here, and then we'll do a quick summary at the end. Okay, speed it up. Okay, on dive again. A very scuffed version of dive. Let's stay away from the Sonic Arrow. Okay, nice. Zarya. Fine. Yeah, Nade, I get the Nade's actually fine because you want to keep the Winston on the back foot there. It's just really unfortunate that the Nade just hits the bubble. It doesn't hits the Zarya, sorry, and it doesn't actually end up hitting the Winston. Okay. Okay. That's fine. Fine. Okay, I don't know what your Zarya is doing. Fine. Fine. Damage. Okay. What's that? Fine. 1, 2, nice. Yeah, nothing crazy. Okay. Yeah, I mean nothing. There's just nothing insane to talk about really. Yeah, nothing crazy. Okay. I assume you full hold this though, judging by the time code.
Yeah.
Yes, you do full hold it. Yes. Yeah, you do. Yeah, there's pretty much no way that you're doing full hold this. I know it's fine. You're still taking an angle. Yeah, flank left side. Yeah, I would just. Yeah, okay. Why? Okay. Why not go? I assume it's because of the orbital ray. Is that why?
Yeah, I dropped because of the direction
Yeah.
of the ray, but ideally I would probably go like on the high ground to the left.
Yeah, you already know it.
Gonna say yeah.
It's even again in pro play, even juniors make the mistakes too. Where Junos will you pop orbital ray and they'll walk inside of the orbital ray. Even though in high level play, orbital ray is not even used for the Juno. It's just used for the front line, right? So you'll pop orbital ray, and then the Genji and then the tank, they'll get value out of that ray. Meanwhile, the Juno will play afar, or the Juno will play back. It's kind of the same thing on Honor here too. You're not the person getting value out of this ray. It's your front line, really. That's really it. So yeah, just because you see ray going down, don't just go into it for no reason. But barring that, nothing crazy. Okay, we'll do a quick summary here at the end. We'll use this wall. Okay, so I guess first thing here, I guess it comes down to again like making sure you're not. I guess the rotations here, or the I'll say this, the aggressive rotation. I'll say like aggressive but safe, probably. But safe rotation.
Yeah. I probably
And-
need more time to like get used to the aggressive but safe angle.
Yeah. I guess the key thing here is like making sure you're the visual cue here for you is looking at enemy frontline / flankers and or have they been cleared? Is kind of the big one. Been cleared. Now, obviously, when I say frontline or flankers, I'm referring to the enemy tank. I'm referring to Tracer Sombra, to some extent Moira and Kiri too. Those are the ones that I'm looking for in terms of again, have these guys been cleared? If not, play distance / force them out. If they have been cleared, right, and it's what I mean by that. When I say have they been cleared, that will look like a Winston jumping out and he's not on high ground anymore. If he's been cleared, then sure, you can walk up. I'm fine with that. But yeah, I think again on first point and second point attack, those were the biggest ones that we've seen, or the biggest pattern on your retakes. Was that you're walking up even when the angle wasn't cleared. And then you got traded out. So I'll put trading here, or tradability. Okay. Second one, I mean, it's still gonna be same from last VOD. It's still gonna be the same. Nade timings. It's gotten better. I will say it's gotten better. But I'll say again, just visual cue here is just your tank or both tanks. I'll just put tanks on both enemy team here. It's just basically just some engage cue from either front line. And really prominent on second point and third point defense. And the last one I'll say is probably, and none of those have been fine. I mean, they weren't great. The first one, they've been fine relatively. I'll say LOS is the big one. LOS with your team, and again, this links into the first idea. Just kind of interconnected there. But again, I think that the biggest example of this was on second point defense, where you took that really, really, really awkward angle. I also went first point attack too. I've got to forget. Those were probably the biggest examples where your angle was really awkward and you had no LOS to your backline, and you took like these really quirky angles for basically no reason. But yeah, those are what I would say are the three biggest ideals or three biggest points. Yeah, I think I don't want to talk about too much about the flanking on our playstyle yet, because honestly, I think that's something that I can come a bit later, or come when you've got these fundamentals against playing against dive down a little bit more, and your nade timings are a little bit better. But yeah, those are I guess the three key points. Any questions or queries?
Not really. I guess like one of the things is like playing unscope Ana to get more comfortable, I guess, for me.
Yeah, you'll get better with it over time. Don't worry about it too much. But
Like
yeah,
sometimes when I play like Ana, and like cause I've been trying to get rid of the habit of like scoping in too much.
right.
So I feel like I focus on like hitting my unscoped shot so much that I get lost. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. But hopefully, again, because you're a player that's like very used to scoping in, and your mechanics are pretty good, generally speaking. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. But yeah, that'll come with time. And some
Yeah.
aim practice. But yeah.